We're going to start. So before we get started with the new topic for today, we're going to be starting with mathematics, as I mentioned earlier. So what do you think, according to you, is math? Now, what we generally understand is like, math is all around all of us, right from the day one that we were born, right? So when we were born, let me mute everyone. Sorry for that. Thank you. Yes. So let me repeat one more time. So we are starting our second practicals, and that's considered to be as our mathematics. Very important for all of us. And why? Why is it so important? Do we use math every time in our day-to-day life? Definitely yes. Right from the day that we were born, people ask us many things, right? It could be related to gender. It could be like, what time was the baby born? What was the weight of the baby? What was the length of the baby? What was the number of centimeters the baby's head was? So right from there, the time that we are born, we are somewhere around, we're working on mathematics. People keep us asking multiple other things, like, how old are you? Okay, is like, are you going to school? What time does your school start at? Oh, you were born on 2nd of March. Oh, today is November 1st. It's a holiday in India because of Kannada Rajotsava, or in Karnataka, it's a holiday. So numbers itself are totally, like understood right from the day, and we understand it through the experience itself. So what we're trying to work over here is like, even though the numbers are encountered in our day-to-day life, children do not have an idea of, yes, this is math. Unless and until we give them and we encounter situations and we give them that this is math, and we make them understand a numerical relationship, isn't it? And how beautiful that is. So what we need to be working over here is like, we need to make sure that we realize the numbers and we help the child to work towards the readiness of understanding the same conceptuals. And what are the different things that we learn in math? Especially when we always start with arithmetic, right? We start with arithmetic. When we begin our arithmetic, we deal with shapes, we deal with space, we deal with numbers, we deal with the relationship with the numbers, we deal with the number and the symbol relationship and the attributes. We work on pattern writing, like it could be numerical patterns, abstract patterns, patterns of shape, patterns which is related to motion, multiple things, right? And apart from that, even the math has got classification into multiple different parts of it, like arithmetic, then we have algebra, we have geometry, statistics, and calculus, right? So these are the 5 different areas that we might also focus. But again, in the primary and the pre-primary classes, what we majorly focus is something that we're going to be looking in today's class. So for our pre-primary, what do we need? We generally need children to understand numbers. Numbers is the first important thing. Second is like, we work on the decimal system. So children have to know the decimal system. We got to learn on the computation, the arithmetic tables, understanding of the whole numbers. If we have time, we could also do fractions and positive numbers. Now, once we have finished with these arithmetical topics, we slowly move towards operations in our classes. Okay, so I'm just giving you an overview of what we would be working in the class of a math practical. So we might work with arithmetic problems, which includes your addition, your subtraction, your multiplication, and division. So that's important for all of us that we got to be working. And next thing is like, we got to work with pre-mathematics. So it's also important that the children learn pre-mathematical skills. Like, what are pre-math skills? Anything that you give before, which is relevant to your sizes, your shapes. It could be related to the gradations of it, or any particular other kind of a conceptuals. We actually start with that. Then is what you start grouping your arithmetic. Okay, so we can first group numbers from 1 to 10. Then we can take an understanding about everything about numbers 1 to 10. So we do it in sequence. Number, in between number, and other things like that. And then is what you start focusing on the hierarchy of the decimal system. Okay, this is just the introductory part of it. Just keep an understanding like what we do. We do counting till 10. We do counting beyond 10. We do teens. We learn about tens. We do linear counting. We do skip counting. We also do arithmetical tables. We help the children not to memorize the tables, but we will also see how children can actually be learning the numbers beyond, okay, beyond counting 10. And in that particular process, we will also see how children are ready to perform some operations. And those operations are going to be helpful for them so that they are ready to do any kind of a math. So what do we need for all of this? Do we need some materials? Definitely, yes. We need our paper, we need a notebook, we need some of the materials, because since we're working on the Montessori materials and you're all learning through screen, it could be a little difficult for you to work with the material. So that's the reason I've given you some of the sheets to take a printout and keep it ready. So when and where we require, we might as well use those materials to perform some of the exercises. Otherwise, we will be able to write it in our notebook and we will start focusing on it. So is that clear so far? Have I made myself very clear so far? This is just the introduction of what are we going to be learning in our complete mathematical program. Okay, so I would like to begin with a simple a pre-math kind of an exercise. Okay, so here is what I'm going to be sharing you one of the rhyme, and the rhyme goes very simple like this. So we're all going to be following a pre-mathematical rhyme or a number sequence rhyme. Okay, so since we are doing math, you need to be focusing more on your what do you call, like, songs which is relevant to your mathematics itself. And the song goes this way. Okay, so what you do is everybody take up your left hand. This is something that I've learned new. So you can take your left hand and try to roll up your hand so that this becomes your fist. Okay, so this is your fist, correct? Everybody's doing that. So this is your beehive. This is your beehive. And the bees are all hiding somewhere. We don't know where they are hiding. So what we need to do is, like, the bees are all hiding behind the beehive. So this is the notation that we do. So we have a beehive and the bees are hiding behind where nobody sees. And then they start coming out, okay? So here is a beehive, but where are all the bees? Hiding away where nobody sees. Here they come, flying out of their hive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Zzz. Okay, if somebody knows, if you know the tune of it, you can actually sing along. So I do not know the tune of it. Okay, so you can actually put up. So anytime that you're actually working with children for some kind of a pre-mathematical skills or number sequence, always try to pick up the songs which is there. Here is the beehive, but where are all the bees? Hiding away. And they come out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They make a lot of noise and they actually come out. So that's wonderful. So you can begin your class timing when you are trying to relate it with your numbers. Now, I could also have another sing along which actually talks about the counting. So just before you introduce numbers, do not jump into performing, writing the numbers and other things. First, go with sequential. Try to give the children the number sequences. So children should know the sequence of it, of counting, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Give them any objects to count, or rather you can do sequentially. So what we can do is, like, using the sing along, the rhythm and the pattern, the movement is very essential because children do pick it up very, very quickly and easily also. So you could also work on some of the sing alongs, which is much more focusing on your what I could say is, like, on your singing skills, which can be related to your, I could say is on the fishes, and you could say some of the colors on that. Okay, so we can pick up some of the colors. Let me try and pick up some of the colors over here. Is my device saying yes? So I'm going to pick up the color blue. Okay, so I'm going to add the number also over here because I'm still doing my circle time. Okay, so we are going to be introducing numbers from 1 to 5 initially. So I say the number 1 can be blue, my number 2 can be orange, my number 3 is going to be my green, the number 4 could be my red, number 5 could be my yellow. So it's up to you what kind of colors that you're going to be bringing up, and I'm going to be adding a gesture to it It's my fish. Okay, the first one is my blue. So I say, one little blue fish swimming in the water, swimming in the water, swimming in the water. One little blue fish swimming in the water. Bubble, 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 pop. Two little orange fish swimming in the water, swimming in the water, swimming in the water. Two little orange fish swimming in the water. Bubble, 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 pop. Three little green fish swimming in the water. Open your mouth and start singing as loud as possible. You can mute yourself, but try singing, okay? Three little green fish swimming in the water, swimming in the water, in the water. In the water, bubble, 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 bubble. Four little red fish swimming in the water, swimming in the water, swimming in the water. Four little green fish swimming in the water, bubble, 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 bubble. Five little yellow fish swimming in the water, swimming in the water, swimming in the water. Five little yellow fish swimming in the water, bubble, 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 bubble. This is very simple. But what happens here is like, your children are actually working on the tune, but at the same time, they're trying to work on very, very simple conceptuals of numbers from 1 to 5. Now, at the same time, I'm also working on colors. So there is some kind of a correspondence between my color and my number. I did not teach the children how a number looks, but rather I was just showing them the images of the fishes. Okay, so it's like one blue fish, maybe I have a two yellow fish or a three green fish and other things. So you can make out some kind of a picture cards and show it to children, and children will be able to better in case you're actually working with some kind of the cards and other things. Now, what is important for me over here is like, am I going to be concentrating on just on the quantity? Definitely yes. So what is very important for me at the beginning is I would first introduce a quantity. Okay, so when I say number 4, the child will just focus on counting as 1, 2, 3, 4. I will only be first focusing on my quantity. Next, after quantity, I would focus on something called as my symbol. Now, when I say quantity 1, the symbol looks like this. When I say quantity 2, I can have apples. So I have 2 apples. The symbol looks like this. So the quantity is different, symbol is different. Slowly, what you try and do is like you start associating a quantity to a symbol. That is when you perform activities like, can you match the number? Okay, so you start the number to the quantity. Can you find out where the quantity is and where the number is and try to match it? So you can perform some of the simple exercises which is related to a number and a quantity, a quantity and a symbol association. So this is just a base of what you actually do. So first, initially, try and pick up anything, whatever you have it at your home. Try picking those materials and start working with those relevances. So those are important for me to actually work with. So here in our math class, what we're going to do first is we're going to divide our entire math into multiple things. The first thing is like we're going to learn on our pre-math. Okay, so first important thing is like I would say the first pre-math is nothing but my opposites also. So we take our hands out, both our palms out. This is open, shut, open, shut. So the first pre-math we're going to be learning is open and shut, or it can also be called as close, open and close also. So you could do this with a sing-along. You can say open, shut them, open, shut them, give a little clap, clap, clap. Open, shut them, open, shut them, put them on your head. Open, shut them, open, shut them, give a little tap, tap, tap. open, shut them, open, shut them, put them on your nose. Now here we are trying to work on an opposite. At the same time, you're also giving action. And at the same time, you're also introducing a conceptual of your math, which is nothing but your pre-mathematical conceptual. So this is all your abstract concepts that the children will be able to focus. Once you introduce this, next is what you can bring them a bowl or a box, and you could ask the children to open the box. Okay, they could open the bottle, they could close the bottle, they could open the box, they could close the box, they could open a pen cap, they could close the pen cap. What am I trying to work over here? When I'm giving them a hands-on exercise, the child is going to relatively understand the logic behind why am I doing open and close. So it is somewhere related to my pre-math. So when I open only, I can put something into the container. Okay, until when will I pour something? Until it is full. Okay, or until it is, okay, only if it is empty, I can start putting, and I will start putting it until it goes full. Okay, so you could do a small science exercise over here. You could bring something and then you could ask your children to drop something over here, and they understand, okay, now the jar is totally full and you cannot put anything. Okay, and the other bowl or jar is totally empty and you have a lot of space. Now, what does this introduce? Still, it is a mathematical conceptual, but you're trying to introduce something related to capacity. Okay, so the child, you're not going to introduce like words like I'm going to introducing capacity to you. You don't say that, but rather you tell children this jar is full and this jar is empty. So the opposite of empty is full. So you start filling everything into it. Okay, so you make up your own rhyme. Full, 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 full. Okay, you can add on to any tune and you can sing along a song or give them some kind of a practical exercise. So indirectly, you're trying to teach children about the capacity over here. Okay, so this is also one of the pre-mathematical concept that you can actually be working on. The next one could be related to, how big can the containers be? Now, you can also pour them into multiple containers, right? Now, say, for example, if I have a larger or a big container, and if I have a smaller container, the capacity at which it can take everything could be little lesser, and this is more, right? So what happens over here is like I can also introduce the concept of big and small over here. This is a large container, this is a small container, or I could say this is a very large cube and this is a tiny or a very small cube. Now here I'm going to be introducing my pre-math as big and small. So you could use the same tune, open, shut them, open, shut them. You can say big and small, big and small, big, 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 small, 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 big and small, big and small, big, 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 small, small, small. Can I use that terms like big, big, big for each of that? Can I use that term? Big, big, big. This is also big. This is also big. This is also big. So you cannot use the same term as big. Rather, when there are three different things, when you're trying to work on introducing that this is big, this is small, there could be something which is big than the big. We call that as, this was my big, I said this was small. Anything which is big than this, I call it as bigger. This is bigger than this. If I have something even more bigger than the bigger, I say it as biggest. Okay, what if I had something smaller than that? I say this is smaller. I say even the smaller one, I say that's the smallest. Now, what did we try and do over here was like, initially, I introduced something called big and small. I introduced something called big and small, right? So here is what I had something called as my first degree, or I call it as a positive degree, because you're very sure this is big, this is small. So it's positive. There's only two things. You give them two objects, and the students understand, okay, this is big and this is small, because the teacher went with a three-part lesson. You always have to remember you got to do it with a three-part lesson. So what's the three-part lesson? This is big. This is small. This is bigger. This is smaller. This is biggest. This is smallest. Can you show me where is big? Second lesson. Can you show me where's bigger? Can you show me where's biggest? So children understand. And then the last period you always ask, can you tell me what is this? And that's when the students understand and they say, ma'am, this is the smallest one, the tiniest one. Or ma'am, this is the smaller one, this is the small. Not only to this, any objects if you have, okay? And we're going to be doing all of this when we're trying and doing our sensorial practicals, okay? Right now in my math, I don't want to bring any of the materials of sensorial to my class, but you can always use sensorial lab exercise materials in your math class also. Okay, you can always use it in your math class also. But since it's a math exclusive class, I've not bought any of those materials. So when we're doing sensorial, I'll again be showing you. So just always remember any of the pre-mathematical skill that you're going to be introducing. If there is a possibility of introducing the versatility of grading them according to its size, you should be able to grade them, or color, anything, okay, any parameter, you should be able to grade them. Now, what is my gradation for the second one? I have the second gradation is called my bigger, big, small, smaller. So this is my second gradation, right? So what did I do over here? I usually had a big and a small. I bought something bigger. I got something smaller. So what did I start doing there? I started comparing. Oh, this is even bigger than that. So what did I slowly start doing? I started comparing my objects. And that is when slowly I started grouping them. Yes, this is even more bigger. My visual sense, my eyes were the ones which actually helped me to understand and compare between the objects, and the students are now able to understand. When we start comparing, it's our second degree of writing or doing exercise, and we call this as a comparative degree. We call this as a comparative degree. The first one was a positive degree, because I was very positive that this is big, this is small, and slowly I bring in other objects, something which was bigger than that and smaller than that. I started comparing and I arranged them in sequence. This is important. I arranged them in sequence. So from big to small, or from small to big, I started arranging them, all of them in sequence. That helped me to compare, and that's my second degree. Now, when I bring even more bigger object and even more the tinier object, that is when I get into my third degree of comparison, and that's called my superlative degree. It's my superlative degree. Okay, so we are going to be working on 3 degrees: the positive degree, the comparison, the superlative. These are the 3 important things that you should always remember. Anytime you're going to be introducing something called pre-math, make sure you're going to introduce all of that. You're getting what I'm trying to say? When you're introducing lengths, okay, when you're introducing lengths, Lobna has 3 sons, right? The elder one is the most tallest in the house, and then the middle son is taller, and the youngest can also be tall. So I can say he's tall, he's taller, and he is tallest. I'm taking only one particular. I'm not going to compare between who's tall and who's short. Okay. Now, what if I start taking and comparing Lobna and her husband also? Maybe Lobna's husband is the tallest in the family, Lobna could be taller, and maybe the little one can be shorter in the house. And you could start comparing between who is the tallest, who's short, who is the shortest. Okay, so you can make up now your own degrees, okay? And you can help children to actually work on. So these are some of the exercises that you can actually work with, tall and short. So you can have tall and short. You can give them buildings. Find out which building is taller. This is taller, ma'am. Find out which building is short. Ma'am, this is short. Now here, you're trying to put children into a very small, like a niche, I could say, wherein you're giving them the less options to compare and that the children will be able to work. So like that, you would have multiple things, okay? So those were the introduction to your pre-mathematical skills, okay? So always begin with pre-math. The next important thing that I wanted to tell is like, sorting. Sorting is something that you have to always begin. And even before children could go to school, they would have definitely learned on sorting. How? Now, say, for example, when you're taking them to a shop or a grocery shop or any kind of a shopping, we generally do shopping, right? So we generally do shopping, and that is where the children do get the experience of something. I need to give something. What is that? I need to give money to buy something. So children understand the concept of buy, and children understand, okay, when you start giving money, somebody is going to sell you something. So the child will understand that that object or that thing, if I want to buy, I need to have money. They get to understand the value of money. They also get to understand like whatever is their currency in whichever location that you are. Children starts to see that currency. They understand the value for it. So money is also important. So you can also help children to sort money, sort all the coins together, sort all 1 rupees together, 2 rupees together, 5 rupees together. I'm talking in terms of Indian currency, money. You can give them that. The second thing is like when you go to the shop, you're trying to buy something, right? So what is that you're going to buy? So maybe apples. The parent immediately tells, okay, so we're going to buy how many? How do we buy apples? We can buy in kilograms, right? So kilogram is the unit. We say 1 kg of an apple. So you're going to teach children about this. 1 kg sugar. And some things you can actually buy in numbers. 1 Coca-Cola bottle, 5 detergents, maybe 3 soaps. So you actually number few of them, and some of them you actually measure them in some kind of a units which is required. So math is also about your SI units and what you actually buy and how do you actually measure. So counting, sequencing, coloring, everything does happen over there. And once you buy everything and you come back your home, the next thing is that you do a sorting. Say, for example, if you have shop good amount of vegetables, you put everything of red color together, maybe all the tomatoes, maybe all the onions you start sorting, maybe all the greens you start sorting, maybe the other groceries you start sorting. The sorting can happen depending upon the classification, which we learned in our language. So classification is very important again over here. So we have to classify them over here. Okay, so that is also important that we would be working on the classification too. So this is all related to our pre-mathematical concepts. Is that clear? Is that clear? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. So that completes the first part of our pre-mathematical skill. And let's quickly put down our pencil and let's quickly do this simple song. It's called Win the Bobina. Is everybody able to see my screen? Okay. So you're going to do this. This is like, you're trying to win the bobina. You're going to pull, pull, pull. Is that okay? Yeah. Win the bobbin up, win the bobbin up, pull, 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 clap, clap, clap. Wind it back again, wind it back again, pull, pull, clap, clap, clap. Point to the ceiling and point to the floor. Point to the window and point to the door. Clap your hands together. 1, 2, 3. Your hands upon your knees. Wind the bobbin up, wind the bobbin up, pull, pull, pull. Wind it back again, wind it back again, pull, pull, clap, clap, point to the ceiling and point to the top, point to the window and point to the door. Clap your hands together, 1, 2, 3. Put your hands upon your knees. Okay. So what was the importance of this particular song was like, see, math is also about directions, right? So whenever you're introducing directions to your children, it's also important you do some kind of a rhyme for left, right. You can also, so this is also an opposite, a pre-math. We also did on up and down, and we also did rolling, wind the bobbin up, and then we did a roll back. So this is how we rolled it in the front, and then we rolled it back. So you rolled in the front, you rolled front, and then you rolled back. So all of them can be somewhere related to your pre-mathematical skills, where you're trying to introduce some kind of a pre-math conceptions to children, like left, point to the window and point to the door. You're going to show them this is towards the right and this is towards the left. And then point to the ceiling and down to the floor. So you're going to be working on up and down. So rolling again, and then you go clap 1, 2, 3. Again, you're linking back to your numbers. So always choose songs which can be related to your mathematical concepts itself, and that's going to be helping your children when you're trying to work on some kind of what do you call, like sing-alongs and things like that. Okay. So and other things could be like, when you have sing-alongs, like, what I could say is like, as anybody knows about this old man, he played one. Okay, so here is what we're going to be working on, another simple sing-along, and it's called This Old Man. Okay, so everybody, in case if you have, you can write down the numbers from 1 to 10. Write down the numbers from 1 to 10, just like this. And I'm going to give you some rhyming words, and you're going to be using those rhyming words. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up to 10. Okay, so here is what we're going to be using for 1 as thumb, for 2 as shoe, for 3 as knee, for 4 we're going to use door, okay, for 5 we're going to use hive, for 6 we're going to use sticks, for 7 we're going to use heaven, okay, for 8 we're going to use gate, for 9 we're going to use spine, for 10 once again. And this song is called This Old Man. Clear, everyone? Okay. So we're going to be having this. So for 1, it's thumb. For 2 is shoe. For 3 is knee. 4 is door. For 5 is high. 6 is sticks. 7 is heaven. 8 is gate. 9 is spine. 10 is once again. And the name of the song is This Old Man. So the verses goes like this. How many of you know the song? Everybody's new? Okay. So this is a rhyming song. 1 thumb, 2 shoe, 3 knee, 4 door. So somewhere it is rhyming, okay? So the verses goes like this. This old man, he played 1. Where did he play? He played knick knack on my thumb with a knick knack paddy whack. Okay, so this is the verse. With a knick knack paddy whack, give a dog a bone. So we're going to use the same verses. And then we're going to be singing all across. Clear, all of you? If you want, you can write down the first verses. This old man, he played one. He played one. He played knick-knack, K-N-I-C-K-N-A-C, knick-knack, paddywhack, knick-knack, paddywhack. He played knick-knack. He played knick-knack on my thumb with a knick-knack, paddywhack. Give your dog a bone. Give your dog a bone. And this old man came rolling home. Okay, so you will get the hang of the song, but only thing is like just concentrate on these numbers. Okay, so it's going to be easy. It's going to be fun. So just observe my movements. Okay, this old man, he played one. He played knick-knack on my thumb with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played two. He played knick-knack on my shoe with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played three. He played knick-knack on my knee with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played four. He played knick-knack on my door with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played five. He played knick-knack on my hive with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played six. He played knick-knack on my sticks with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played seven. He played knick-knack in the heaven with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. Try. This old man, he played eight. He played knick-knack on my gate with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played nine. He played knick-knack on my spine with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played 10. He played knick-knack once again with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man came rolling home. This old man came rolling home. It's a very, very famous classic song that you can actually introduce to children. And they are very simple for all of us. Even when you have songs like Ants Go Marching, do you know about this particular song, the Ants Go Marching one by one?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so even that's a wonderful sing-along that you can actually play with your class. So you can note down in case if you know that. You can
One more song is there. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 3,
yes,
4. Yeah.
buckle my shoe. You can always go with that. Even this Hands Go Marching, it's very, very, very energetic song, I could say. It's like, the ants go marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching one by one. The little one stops to suck a thumb. They all go down, marching down to the hill. Boom, 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 boom. It just goes like that. It's an amazing song that you can actually work with for children, and you could go with like two, a number two. The ants go marching two by two, hurrah. It's the very simple thing. And again, it's like, it gets onto the rhyming part of it because you need to be introducing some kind of a rhyming to the children. Like, when you say two by two, hurrah. And then for two, we're going to be using the same rhyming word. And you say, the ants go marching two by two, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching two by two, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching two by two. The little ones stop to tie his shoe. They all go marching down to the town. Boom, boom, boom. Did you like this song? So you can pick any number. Say, for example, in case if I say 6, I can say pick up the sticks. Can we all try for this, everyone? Ants go marching 6 by 6. Hurrah, hurrah. Everyone together. The ants go marching 6 by 6. Hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching 6 by 6. The little one stops to pick up the sticks. They all go marching down to the ground to get off the rain. Boom, boom, boom. So you can pick up any line, any number, and you could go. So it's like, 3 to the knee and all of that, So again, 3 can also be like a tree also. So you can say the little one stopped to climb a tree also you can put. Hands go marching 3 by 3, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching 3 by 3, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching 3 by 3. The little one stops to climb a tree and they all go marching down to the ground to get off the rain. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so it's one of the favorite songs that most of the children do understand, but only thing is like you need to get your rhyming and rhythm correct. If your rhyming and rhythm is correct, children will definitely pick up. Okay, so why I always introduce it's not only that the language, you introduce it with music and sound and rhythm and movement. Math also you need to do it with sing-alongs because children understand and they love doing everything with math. Okay, so let's move on to our Montessori materials. So what are the different materials that we're going to be using it? Okay, so now I'm going to begin with numbers from 1 to 10. Okay, so from numbers from 1 to 10, in case if I pick, what was the first thing that I said that you need to introduce? You need to introduce something called as your quantity. Okay, and for that, the first material in Montessori that I'm going to be introducing is called as my number rods. It's called number rods. Now, what are number rods? Now, since I am in the school and I don't have number rods at here, I'm going to be showing you how the material actually looks like. Okay, so let me quickly show you that. The write down the first material is called as number rods, and we generally use number rods to help our children to actually learn things. So I had told all of you also to pick up, to have a printout of those materials. So have you got that printout, essentials, everybody? So because I did not have these materials, so I thought I will ask you to get a printout of that. So has everyone got the printouts? Oh, wonderful, amazing. Okay, so all of you have it. Amina, how about you? You have it? Okay, I have Delphin, Monica, everybody has it. If you don't have nothing, don't worry. Okay, so you can take a piece of paper and you can start making it. Okay, so what's important for me is like in my number rods, whenever I'm going to be introducing this topic of my number rods, I would have my rods. Can you count the number rods over here? Can you all start seeing the number rods over here? Can you see the number rods? So I do have this being my number 1, right? So this is my number 1. 1 second. Okay, so this is my number 1. And I start counting here. See, this is 1, this is 2, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3, right? So this is a rod. Okay, so are you getting it, what I'm trying to say, guys? So since I don't have that material, I'm just showing it to you. Okay, so here, what I would wanted you to understand is like number rods is like set of 10 rods. It's a set of 10 rods in which you are going to be introducing counting to children. Just forget about the numbers. Don't consider the numbers for now. Only consider the rods. When I consider the rods, what I have is like it will be sequentially sorted like this. But what you are going to do is you can either arrange them horizontally like this, or you can arrange vertically like this. I'll show you how you do that. Now, when children do pick up any of these rods, this is how the rods look like. These are called number rods, and they have this alternative red and blue color. They have this alternative red and blue color as an indication. Every unit over there is a number, is a quantity. Now, say for example, the child has touched his finger on one of the rod. If I start counting that rod, the red one is 1, the right next to it is 2, and then I have something called as my 3. So we start counting those particular rods as 1, 2, and 3. You're getting it? Okay. And whoever has it, try to cut those strips. Everyone, please try and cut those strips. Just cut it off and keep it ready. I'll give you 1 minute for doing this. Cut the strips because we're going to be aligning everything accordingly. Oh, this was just so much in time. So thanks to my husband, he could get the material from my other center. It was just right on time. Just right on time. So we do have the material now. We don't have to worry now. Okay. Let me point out to my other device. Okay, so in case if you have it connected, all of you. All right. So you can take a look over here. Now I have here something called as my number rod 1. Can you all see here? This is my number rod 1. So this is a rectangular block. Okay, it's almost really big enough for me to actually hold it. I can show it to you in this particular way. So this is my number rod 1. Okay, so when I take my number rod 2, it is almost of twice the size of what I actually have it. Okay, so this is my 1, exactly same, and this is my number 2. Why you think that there is a color identification over here is like when you give this particular rod to a child, the child can count this as 1, 2, 1, 2, with 2 of the fingers, 1 and 2. Now, similarly, when I start taking my third rod, it's like my 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This is there. So I can also give problem statements like what makes up a 3. I could say my 2 plus 1 makes up my 3. We can also use the same material to make up our addition. What makes up a 3? It's 2 plus 1 makes up 3. I could also say 1 plus 2 also makes up 3. But what I'm only worried is like on the length of the rod, because the quantity is equalizing to another quantity that I actually give. So we use this material in multiple ways. But there are different procedures of using this material. So note down the first process of introduction, that how I would be doing my Montessori, what do you call like number rods is this way. Okay, so note down materials required. You would need 10 identical red rods. You would need 10 identical red rods just like that. 10 identical red rods just like that, which are divided into red and blue sections. Always remember the shortest of the rod is your red color. And the next rods, the second is twice as the size of the first. And the third is thrice as the size of the first. Okay, so you could go on. Now, what is the first thing that you're going to be working on? This is, you're going to start with the first exercise. which is called as your naming and counting. The first exercise in the number rods, what we do over here is called as naming and counting. What do you mean by naming and counting over here? What is naming and counting is, if I take any rod randomly, look at my whiteboard, I had everything on my green board here, but now I have moved one thing onto my working space. So I'm going to be naming this, right? So how do I name it? I start counting 1, 2, 3. So I name this rod as number 3. I name it. I'm still not showing the child how to write number 3, but I will name it orally that this is 3. Children, this rod is number 3. When I bring this one, I say this is 1. So I'm trying to name this particular rod as this is 1 and this is 3. Okay, so this is the first exercise that you're going to be doing. So try to draw any rod of any quantity and write next to it saying this is 3, this is 1. So we did the naming part of it. The second part, what you're trying to work on the number rods is, once this is all done, so you start identifying by name. What do you mean by identify by name? Now, when the teacher says, can you give me the number rod 2? The child gives you the number rod 2 because you're trying to identify by the name itself. By so far, what happened is like you would have understood and you would have done multiple times that, counting, sequencing and everything. Now, visually by sight, you understand. And then the teacher says, can you give me the number 5? The child randomly goes, picks, if he has doubts, he starts clarifying all of them. But at the same time, he'll give you the number rod 5, which is very correct. If there is a confusion, he starts counting again. Because error of control is really okay, because the child will have to redo it multiple number of times to actually work with it. That's absolutely fine. So this is what is identifying by the name. Now, what if I give a randomly? If I give a rod randomly and I ask them, can you tell me what is the quantity of this particular rod? I gave them randomly. So this was a rod which was randomly given to all of them. And now the child does not know because it's slightly a longer one. So probably I go counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I start counting all of them. So this is the first important thing wherein we introduce quantity to our children. And that's the very first important material in our Montessori. And that's called number rods. So we introduced number rods. The next step for me to introduce is the number symbols. This is called a symbol card set. So it comes with a tiny box. So if you're very much used to your Montessori materials, you should get a hand like, every cards, every materials will be stored in a nice container like this. And you get a topping that you can actually go across also. So in this, we do get cards. Okay. So from 1 to 10 number rods, because you have 10 rods. This is the second material. So it's number rods and cards. Now, what I do over here is like, now I need to introduce children how the numbers look like. First thing is like I introduce the quantity. Now, the second thing for me to introduce is how does my symbol from here noted down the number. We call any of the number as symbol. If I take number 10, it's called the symbol. So this is how we start writing number 10. So this is the symbol for me. So I have to be introducing the symbols from now on. Now what I do, I associate my symbol to my quantity. Now say for example, if I take this number rod, what is supposed to be the symbol that I need to associate? I need to associate the symbol number 1. So I can either keep it on top of it or I can keep it at the bottom of it also, because I'm trying to associate that this is number 1 and this is how the number 1 symbol looks like. Then I could say this is number 3, right? So I could say this is number 3 and this is how the symbol of number 3 looks like. So you give them the symbol of how does the number 3 look like. What did we generally do over here is we associated. Okay, now say for example here, this was my number 2. Take a look at my green color, my green board. Okay, so here is what we do have. I'm removing the, okay. So I have this particular rod and this was my number 3. So I start associating my number rod to my number. Okay, so this is how you need to be associating your number cards with your rods, wherein the shortest one, okay, so you can put it on top also, and put it on top, that's nothing to worry. Okay, so you're trying to represent your number 1 with 1, your number 2 with 2, your number 3 with 3. Okay, so this is how you associate a number to your quantity and you get the versatility. So what you generally do is like you start sequencing everything from now on, from number 1 to 10. So do you have that particular practical exercise? So if you have cut those strips, you can actually arrange it. If you don't have it, it's fine. So you could actually work on it like the way that you actually want it. Now let's go back to my PPT itself. So this is what I wanted to show you. If you don't have the material with you, you can take a printout of this particular exercise. You can take a printout of this and you can start, working the same way that as I showed to all of you. So you can make up these particular printouts. You can arrange either in vertical. Now I have arranged everything on the green board on the vertical side. So you can arrange it vertical or you can arrange it horizontal. Give any rod randomly to the child. Let the child start to associate a quantity to this. Okay, so this is how you're going to be working. So this has to be your first stage of associating a number rod to your quantity. Pick up any rod randomly. Try and associate the quantity to the number. So when you do this, it's a good bingo because your child understands quantity and the numbers. So do many number of times. It's not only with this material. You can bring any other materials, counting the number of pens, counting the crayons, counting some clicks. Even stacking the Legos can be a good opportunity for children to actually count the numbers. Okay, so if you have Lego, you can actually do that. And this one, it can be like, you can use it like a maze, you can use it like a puzzle sheet and other thing. Now, if you see the second one over here, if you see this particular one over here, so this is a stand actually. Okay, so that's a stand wherein you will get the visual appeal. You get the visual sense altogether. So this is where, okay, so you will have a stand like this and you could make all of your rods stand on it. So when you're making them stand like this, what happens is it gives you an insight of the lengths of the rod, just like how I'm having it right now. So if I'm trying to hold everything, okay, so I'm trying to hold everything over here. So, okay, if I'm putting everything onto a stand like this, you get the visual sense, right? So this is shorter, this is even more taller, this is the tallest one. You get that, this number is very big compared to this number. So that gives you an identification of this is a small number and this is a big number. So when I have that comparison between, can you find out which one is small in this? This is small. Which one is big? This is big. So we understand because it's one more than that particular quantity. The next exercise, what we can actually do with number rods is addition. Okay, so write down the tabulation for addition. Okay, so now we make up an addition column. What makes, okay, so write down the question. What makes, okay? And now we're going to make up your tabulation of what makes table. Okay. So here is what we can make up. What makes 2s, what makes 3s, what makes 4s, what makes 5s, what makes 6, what makes 7s, what makes 8, what makes 9, and what makes 10. Okay, what makes 2? 1 plus 1 makes 2. What makes 3? 2 plus 1, 1 plus 2. Make this table. What makes a 4?
3 plus 1.
3 plus 1.
2 plus 2.
Plus 2.
1 plus 3.
1 plus 3.
0 also we can add, ma'am.
We can't add. Okay, so I'm just taking the numbers which is where you can show the quantity.
Okay.
What makes 5? 4 plus 1. 3 plus 2.
2.
Come on.
2 plus 3.
2 plus 1 plus 4.
1 plus 4.
1 plus 4. Yes. Okay. What makes a 6? 5 plus 1. 4 plus 2. 3
3
plus
plus 3.
yes. 2 plus 4.
2 plus 4.
1 plus 5.
1 plus 5.
Plus 1 makes 7. 5 plus 2, 4 plus 3, 3 plus 4. Then plus 5,
2
1.
plus 5. 1 plus.
Okay, so make this table up to 10. What makes? Okay, so this is very important in our number rods and cards because you need to make these kinds of tabulation separately each of the cards, just like how we do our rank. We need to make up those separate cards, like what makes up these numbers. Okay, so what are we trying to introduce over here is like we just introduce numbers 1 to 10 to our child, but indirectly we're also now focusing on addition without even the child knowing about that there is an operation that we're going to be performing. We're going to slowly start introducing addition to our children with the smallest numbers, with the smallest set of groups of numbers. Okay, once we have this of my addition chart ready, what I could do is like, I can take up any of the chart, or if the teacher was just interested, like, what makes up 5, I could say like, ma'am, 2 plus 3 makes my 5. Okay, so this is what I got an understanding from that table. So I need to recheck, right? So I need to recheck. So I bring my 2 quantity here. And I also bring my 3 quantity. Okay, so this is very small. So I put my 2 on my this hand, and the 3 I'm going to be putting it here. Okay, so we have 2. Okay, so this is my 2, and then I'm going to have a plus is my palm. Okay, so 2 plus 3 is what? It's my 5. So how do I make sure that it is equivalent? Is through this. Okay, so I validate. So I put 2 plus 3 and I check whether they are really of the same quantity. They are, right? So 2 plus 3 is 5. So this is one validation that I give. I could also tell children like 3 plus 2 is also 5. So we just separate it. We just reshuffle it. And you go with 3 plus 2 is also equivalent to 5. Okay, so play around with your cards and you will be able to work and deal with it. Okay, so that was one of the exercise that you can actually perform with your cards. Can we do subtraction with this? Definitely yes. We can also do subtraction. So whenever you're trying to work with subtraction, always use the word called take away. Okay, always use the card take away. Now say for example, if I have my number rod 5, I have my number rod 5, I have to take away 3. I have to take away 3. So 1, 2, 3. I have to take away 3. How much was remaining? So if I take away my 3, what is remaining for me? 1 and 2. So I did this and I got my answer as 2. So always use you have 5, but you're going to be taking away 3 from this. Since I cannot break my rod, I keep this over here and I tell children I'm going to be taking away 1, 2 and 3. What's remaining for me is like 1 and 2. Okay, so this you can also use it in your classes with other materials, like say I have say 5 pens, okay, or I have say 3 pens, and I take away 2 from that. So I take away 2 from it and I put it into another bowl. How much is remaining? I start counting and that's my 1. So you could give more objects for children, but always use the word take away to that. Okay, so that covers your first exercise, second and third exercise. So far we have completed 3 exercises. One is your, can you tell me? Just the number rods. Just the number rods. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you had 10 number rods. This is your first material. Second material is our
Cards, number
symbol.
cards, symbols.
Symbol cards.
sandy numbers. So you can also trace on those numbers. So it's called my sandy numbers. The third material is the same number rods, but it will have cards with it. Okay, it will have the same cards with it. So you will have a number and you will have a card with it. Okay, so that's your number rods and cards. Now we use to introduce what numbers? Numbers from 1 to 10. We can also do addition with this. We can also do subtraction with this. Agree? You can also teach multiple concepts like, what is a big number? What is a small number? Okay, what is a tall number? What is a short number? Multiple things you can actually work. The fourth material now that I'm going to be introducing is called what's the next material? What is the next thing? I'm still with 1 to 10. Okay, I'm still with 1 to 10. I'll teach something about the spindle box now. Now, spindle box. I gave you another worksheet which had numbers from 1 to 0 to say, I guess 9. 0 to
Yes, ma'am.
all of you. Do you have that worksheet with you?
Yes.
And
Ma'am, it has number 0 to 10.
0 to 10 it has. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the worksheet that we're going to be using it for our material. So I'm going to be using a material called spindle box. So you can note down, why do we use the spindle box? Okay, the spindle box just looks like this. Okay, so it has a compartment like this, if you see. Okay, so it's a wooden box. It will have some compartments like this. So it will be divided into two compartments, two equal compartments. And at the same time, if you see, there are some numbers which is blocked, printed on these particular things. That indicates the number or the symbol that I need to be doing it. Okay. Now, why do I have these compartments is because I'm going to be putting something. And what am I going to be putting there is like the spindles is what I'm going to be putting. Okay. Here, we got to also work on error of control. Say, I need to first count and keep spindles there. So I have already taken a basket and I have counted the spindles into my basket. So how many spindles altogether I would have is the count of my 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 till my 9. Because I have 9 compartments, correct? So I will have a total of, you count it and see how many spindles you have. Okay. Now, if it is
5.
okay, yeah, 45, correct. Now see here, I have 0. I'll tell you later. This one is 1. So what I need to do is I take one spindle and start putting into my spindle box here. And whoever does not have this, what I could say is like, you can draw one line. Okay, since you don't have the material, what you do is like, since it's 1, you draw one line here. If it's 2, you will draw 2 lines. If it's 3, you will draw 3 lines. If it's 4, you will draw 4 lines because you don't have material. Okay. So that gives you an idea, like we are going to be putting individual spindles. The next number is 2. So you're going to be putting how many spindles? 2 spindles, 1 and 2. So you should not be taking multiple spindles altogether. As a teacher, you know this is 4, but the child will not understand that this is 4. It could be time taking, but you have to do it one by one only. 1, 2, 3. And then for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you continue for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So when you're coming to the last,
Ma,
you will have just the same number of spindles. You will not have more, neither you will have less. If you have more, say for example, if I finished everything and if you still have 1 or 2 remaining, that means you did not put it correctly. Correct? The child would have done somewhere wrong. Or if you don't have the spindle also, it's called the error of control because the child has not completed the activity. So you have to make sure that the child redoes it. So here we use this material to introduce the concept of 0. We tell the child that 0 means nothing. That's the reason we don't put anything here, children. So 0 means nothing. So spindle box is one of the mathematical material that you introduce to children to introduce what? To introduce the
Concept of 0.
to introduce the concept of 0. So how do you write? How do you describe that material? You say it is like 2 boxes, which are exactly the same. Each of the box will have 5 compartments. Okay. At the back of each of the compartment, you have a painted symbol in black color. And the numbers are starting progressively from 0 to 9. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you should have a bowl or a container or a basket which will have 45 spindles. The other challenge for me is, since my children do not understand every time that I need to be having these exercises, what I could also do is, I can also have some rubber bands. Now say for example, if my quantity was 4, I can take up these 4 spindles in my hand. I counted them 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can take a rubber band and I could put a rubber band to it. Okay, so you can take a ribbon or you can tie the rubber band also because they're together. So this represents my quantity 4. Every time I use the number 4, I could put it into this because now the child knows that this is the quantity. So you can do it in this way. You could tie it with a lace or a ribbon, or you could use a rubber band. Rubber band is the most easiest one that even children can actually use it. Okay, so you can put the rubber bands when you're trying to put it over here. So this is one of the exercise that we need to be introducing it to children. So how do you do it? You will call children in smaller groups and you'll tell them, children, I'm going to be introducing number 0 today, but we're going to be using something called as a spindles. Okay, so this is going to give you a good clarity on how the symbols and the quantity are separate. Okay, the symbols are separate, the quantity is separate, and we introduce the number 0. Now, after introducing number 0, the next thing which is very important for me is to identify whether my number is even or odd. Agree, all of you? Because we are still with numbers from 0 to 10 only. Okay, so we are still with that. And now we need to know whether my number that whatever I'm teaching is an odd number or an even number. Correct? So for that, I will be using another material called cards and counters. Okay. So I don't have a red counter. I have a very old material because mine is a very old school. These days you get a red color counters also. I've given you another material. Okay. So if you would have all noticed, there would have been some red color coins like this. So do you have that? I would have given another worksheet to take out a print. So do you all have that? 5?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that is the worksheet that you're going to be taking it for this. And this is called as cards and
Cards and
counters. Now in cards and counters, what we generally do is,
odd and even.
yes, you will find out whether the number is odd,
Odd.
whether the number is even. For that, I will arrange my cards initially. So first thing what I need to do is, I have to arrange my cards sequentially. From what number to what number?
1 to 10.
1 to 10. Perfect. So how many counters I should have? How many
55.
counters I should have?
45.
55.
2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10. I should have,
55.
55.
yes, I should have 55 counters. If I have less, if I have more, it's okay. But if I have less, it's going to be a problem for a child to understand. If it is 1, how many counters should I be keeping it?
1.
1.
If it's 2, you will have to,
1.
1, 2.
yeah. If it's number 3, you're going to keep,
1, 2, 3.
okay, so I don't keep it this way.
Down we should.
Process, you got to keep it down. Now, why do we keep it down is, when you're trying to put your finger, when you're running through your finger like this, when you're running through your finger like this, find out whether this one has a counter. See, this one does not have a counter.
Partner.
This has a counter. This has a counter. This does not have a counter. So that means if any of the numbers do not have a counter, it's considered to be an odd number. If I have a counter, it's an even number. We just ask the children to lay out this. So this becomes my odd. Take any number. Say, for example, if I take number 10, I keep arranging the counters like 1, 2, then I put 3,
4, 5,
4, go individually.
5, 6, 7,
7,
8, 9, and 10.
So when your finger run through it, all of them have counters, right? So it's a
Yes.
it's a
Even.
So when it has a counter, it's an even number. When it does not have a corresponding counter, that becomes an
It's
odd number.
odd number.
Okay. So in this exercise, we're going to do only till for number 10, but you could also do it for other numbers also. So you can note down, find out whether number 23 is even or odd. You can do it with the same conception. You can do it with the same conception. Whether the number 23 is even or odd, you can still work with the same. So what you do, you give children how many counters? You give them 23 counters. The teacher can prepare it or the child can actually count up to 23 and you go on and on. So what you do is like you write the symbol. This is how the number 23 looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Draw a line. When I start checking, all of them have counters if you see, but the last one does not have a counter. So what is this number?
Odd.
This is the easiest way that children learn about the even and odd numbers.
Odd.
Yes, so this is your odd number. So that covers your other material.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, can you make other example, please?
For example, if I take number 14, if I take number 14, what I do here is I need to keep how many counters? I need to keep 14 counters, right? 1, 2. I can't keep 3, 4 like this. It has to be vertical. Only 2 maximum I can keep. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. So now I have arranged my quantity through my counters. So if I draw a line or if I'm putting my finger, this has a counter, this has a counter, this has a partner. The counter matlab partner. This has a partner, this has a partner, this has a partner, this also has a partner. So this becomes my even. What if my number was 17?
One will be left out.
15?
16, 17.
So when my number is 17,
There is no partner.
but for this, there is no partner.
Partner.
So what does this number become? This number becomes my odd.
Odd number.
So your 17 becomes your odd number.
Yes.
So you can do it for even the bigger numbers also. So every time, it's not necessary that you give counters. You can give those, what do you call that, dot marker pens. So children can go with the dot markers, find out whether 9 is an odd or an even. They say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And they get an understanding, oh, this is not there. So what you as a teacher, you could always give is you can give them a worksheet wherein there is a specific lines already given. And you say number 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everything has a counter. So this becomes my even number. So you can make worksheets, which is easy for you to represent and show for children how exactly that you can give it into your classes. So that's going to make it all the way easier for your children to actually work in any important way. Yes, I do have Adeline showing it to me. Yes, wonderful. Yes, that's how you can actually make it, So this is what you can give it to children. And the Adeline, the way that she's written is similar to the worksheets that we have actually gotten. It's very simple. Yes. Thank you, Adeline. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yes. Clear so far? Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Okay. So we have a new student today. Is that Amreen? Amreen, very good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Afternoon. I'm doing very well. Thank you so much. And hi, Rema. Nice to have you today in the
Hi, teacher. I was like joining late today. Sorry for that.
problem. I saw you both, but I felt like, I'll interrupt And I didn't want to interrupt and have an interaction, but again, we completed the first part of numbers from 1 to 10, so I thought I'll greet you now. So welcome to the class, and this is your Amreen. Is this your first class today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. So if possible, please try and on your videos if your bandwidth is really good enough, because I would love to see all of you for the very first time. I totally understand. It's an afternoon, but I would still request all of you to keep your videos on. So that gives me a little bit more energy when I'm looking at all of you. I can understand if you're understanding or if there's a question mark. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. So nice having both of you. So let's quickly
Thank
move
you, ma'am.
to our next part of the mathematical skills. Okay, now this is done. So this is what we have actually worked with numbers from 1 to 10. The next thing is like, you introduced everything with related to your the materials. But what is next for me is like, I need to also introduce the worksheets for children, right? So when we are giving them the worksheets, you can always go with your copy control cards. Similar to our language, I give them a particular card. And when I want the children to actually write this down, so you go with the tracer controls, right? So you teach them the directions of how a number 2 is actually formed. So you give them the directions of how a number 2 is actually formed. So you showed them the identification. You showed them this was the quantity which was associated. Now you need to introduce to something called as writing. So children need to also get a little bit knowledge on the way that the number is formed and you start beginning to write. So this was one of the next step that you need to give. So how do you do it? You bring a sand tray, okay? And once you trace on this number 2, children do get sensitivity towards the number formation and they start tracing on the tray. I don't have a sand tray here, so you can fill up the entire tray with sand. If you don't have sand, you could even put the Carnatic sand, which is readily available now. If you still don't have that, you can put some rice or lentils or even salt at your home. And then you could make your child to trace the number. Tracing activities could be different. You can also trace on the air, but only thing is like get the directions of the number correct. So children do write it this way. It looks correct, but on a long run, it does not connect with the writing because the speed of the handwriting goes really wrong. And there's a different technique because the way that you write, this is called something called as a muscle memory. So every time you start writing something, why do people say that, rather than reading, you got to introduce more of writing? Because it's directly linked with your muscle memory. Okay, so it sends signals to your brain because your hand does not know how to write it. Only once your brain receives the signals and remembers the pattern of writing, that is when you start making the fine movement of how to write. So we need to first work on the pincer grip or the pacer grip of the child. And then slowly is what you can actually work with it. Okay, so this is the next exercise that you give them. So how many times will your child write? Go back to your language lesson, give them a blank page initially to write. So they write it on a larger time. We call this as rainbow tracing. Okay, so in our school, we do rainbow tracing. The same letter can be traced multiple times using different colors. 3 colors, 4 colors, 5 colors, give them any number of colors. So what happens there is like it gives you a choice. At the same time, the number looks so colorful. It's called the rainbow colors, rainbow color writing, however you want to call it, in whichever way that you can do it. But make sure the child is tracing this letter many number of times just to get the hang of how the letter has been written, numbers written. Then you give them a grid, math grid, and now your child writes multiple times. Now you're all done with it, and you do the same thing for different numbers. Now your child understands the sequence of 1 to 10. Slowly is what you give them. So you understand numbers from 1 to 10. So you go with 1 to 10. Now you give them about the missing numbers. Don't give them many missing numbers. Give them what's missing. So if they are finding it difficult to find out, always give on top with the number line so the child can find out what is something which is missing after 3. Then you start increasing to numbers. Do not start with multiple numbers. Slowly you begin giving the missing numbers. So you're trying to work on the missing numbers. I'm done with this. So slowly you start working with your after numbers, right? So I have number 2, and what comes after number 2? Tell children you have number 3 after. So you can have some kind of an artistic, what do you call, like, something running around, so you have 2, and after 2 is pointing to 3. So the child writes 3. And then you give number 4, and what is before number 4? So you have number 4, and something before number 4 is like you need to come this way. So the child writes it's number 3. So make sure, whichever is the number sequence that you always do, sequential numbers, missing numbers, after numbers, before numbers, in between numbers are very, very important. You do number 1 to 10. Make sure your child knows the sequence of writing, missing numbers, before numbers, after numbers, in between numbers. They're very perfect in this. Then you do the reverse numbers, or we call it as the backward numbers. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The child comes backwards to reach this destination. So you can do a connect the dot to dot or any kind of other simple exercises. Now you're trying to help the child to connect back to some of the simple exercises, which does number working from 1 to 2. So this covers your first part of your number, and that's from 1 to 10. So we did 5 materials: number rods, sandy numbers, number rods and cards, spindle boxes, cards and counters. 5 is what we've actually done so far. And now let's quickly put our pencils down. I know it's too much of writing today, and math is easy for all of us to understand. So we're going to do a very, very simple one. Okay.
Ma'am, please, you can please write on the board this 5 of quantity, numbers, box, and this thing. Can you please write it?
Need to write what is it? The first, for introducing numbers from 1 to 10, we began with the first material, which is called as your number rods. Number rods is this one. Okay, so this is your number rods. Okay, so which we did it with the red and the blue. Second is we did something called as your sandy numbers. Sandy numbers is nothing but the number. And then the third one, what we did is your number rods and cards. Now using this combination, number rod and a card, is what we numbers from 1 to 10. We did addition. Okay, so remember we did an addition chart. What makes 5, what makes 4, an addition chart, we did it. We can also do simple subtraction using this. So remember, it's very simple. Using number rods, you can use addition. For subtraction also, you can actually use it. And then you would did numbers spindle box. Now spindle box was another material to introduce the concept of 0. Okay, so it will have how many compartments? 2 compartments ranging from numbers 0 to 9. Okay, so it was something like this, and everybody put the spindles into it. And then the fifth one, what we did was called as cards and counters. Okay, now we used cards and counters to tell whether the number even or odd. Okay, so these are the 5 important materials for the first introductory part of 1 to 10. Done?
Who is it?
Clear, all of you?
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much.
If you have, okay, now you can put your pencils down. But at the end, the first part of it. So if you have 2 sketch pens or pencils or anything, or if you have any 2 sticks like this, you can take it. We call this as rhythm sticks in our classes. We use this as rhythm sticks in our classes. You can take any 2 pencils. If it's ready, you can just show it to me. Ready? Okay. All right, okay. So here we go. Here we go with the song. I'm going to share you the lyric sheet also, so you could also sing along with me. This is how we go. Okay. So every time, because clock is also related to my math, I would always prefer it to do it this particular way also. So I would use a rhythm stick in my class to bring some kind of a drama. So we say tick tock, tick tock, the clock, waiting for someone to knock, knock, knock. Oh my,
It's
cat. It's a cat. It's the whiskers. Okay, so I'm going to put it like this so that it looks like a whiskers of the cat. Oh my, it's a
cat.
hold it so that it fits. It feels like a whiskers. Now let's try for the other ones. Tick tock, goes the clock, waiting for someone to knock, knock. My, it's a dog. Tick tock, goes the clock, waiting for someone to knock, knock. Oh my.
It's a bunny.
Tick tock, goes the clock, waiting for
someone.
oh my.
It's walrus.
It's the walrus. Yes, this is the walrus.
Yeah.
Tick tock, goes the clock, waiting
Waiting
for
for someone. My, oh my, it's an alien.
So you can make an alien face out of there, and it's going to be really helpful for you. Okay. So since we are actually working on the clock, so children can also learn about how the the clock actually starts to, tick around, and that's going to be really helpful. Okay. So since I introduced something called as the rhythm sticks, we can always do more. So every time children do have only 7 minutes, they do have just the learning capability of just the 7 minutes to listen to all of this. And we need to always take up a little smaller brain breaks, which we actually use it in the classes. It's very important for me also. So since I've used the same rhythm stick, so let me play another one. Okay. This is the way we clap our hands, clap our hands, clap our hands. This is the way we clap our hands Saturday morning, right? So we're going to use the same tune and we say, this is the way we tap our sticks, tap our sticks, tap our sticks.
This is the way we tap our sticks.
On the morning. This is the way we rub our sticks, rub our sticks,
Rub our sticks.
This is
This
the
is the way we strap our sticks.
early in the morning. Very good. And try to do the other ones. This is the way we hammer our sticks, hammer our sticks, hammer our sticks. This is the way we hammer our sticks on an early Saturday morning. You can add on to different days also. This is the way we drum our sticks, drum our sticks, drum our sticks. This is the way we drum our sticks on an early Monday morning. Days of the week, months of the year, days in a particular week, all is related to your math. So you can include more number of days and weeks as and when you're trying to sing along with your children, because they are very, very essential for all of you. And if you have the rhythm sticks, okay, so you could always do that. So you can always say to children, if you have some rhythm sticks, rhythm sticks, rhythm sticks. If you have some rhythm sticks, you can tap them now. If you have a rhythm stick, rhythm stick, rhythm stick. If you have some rhythm sticks, you can rub them now. You can hammer them now. You can drum them now. Okay, so that was somewhere related to things like that. And always, okay, so if you are very much close to your wardrobe, you can go and pick up a scarf or a handkerchief. If you don't have that, you can also take a tissue for right now. Yes, Amreen already has a scarf closer. That's wonderful. So I'm going to take a small, very one. Okay. So do you have it, all of you? Can you all see? Yes. Oh, that's nice. All of us have this, right? So yeah, Dobna got it. Swagatika, everybody's got. So this is called, we're trying to introduce. Amina, what about you? Yes, yes. Okay, so that's too big, Swagatika. You'll not be able to do it. So get a smaller one, a napkin or a handkerchief or a tiny scarf. Okay, that should be able to do it. Okay, so here is what we're trying to work on, something which is related to waving. Okay, so waving is also very essential for me to introduce some kind of movement in my class. And it's also related to my math. Okay, because I'm going to be teaching children about the opposites. We all remember that pre-math is also essential. I need to be teaching them about the left. I need to teach them about right. I need to teach them to go faster and slower, high and low, all around. That's very important for me to actually be teaching them, right? So wave your scarf up and down, up and down, up and down. Wave your scarf up and down. Wave your scarf. Wave your scarf left and right. Left and right, left and right. Wave your scarf left and right. Wave your scarf. Wave your scarf fast and slow, fast and slow, fast and slow. Wave your scarf fast and slow. Wave your scarf. Wave your scarf high and low, high and low, high and low. Wave your scarf high and low. Wave your scarf. Wave your scarf around and round, around and round, around and round. Wave your scarf around and round. Wave your scarf. Wave your scarf and say hello. Say hello, say hello. Wave your scarf and say hello. Hello to you all. Thank you so much. Okay, so always take short breaks because it brings up some kind of an energy to the class. And let's move on to our second part of our learning. And we are moving to the larger chunk of mathematics, and that's called the decimal system. So note down the next heading is introduction of decimal system. And we would be using a material called golden beads. Introduction to our decimal system, and we would be using something called as the decimal system. Okay, so I'm going to be erasing this. Okay, so the next subheading is our decimal system. Now here is what we would be learning about the larger number. Okay, so we learned only from 1 to 10 so far. Now we're going to learn from 1 to 1000 probably. And there is a notation of how do we represent. So we have something called as ones. We have our tens. We have hundreds. And we have thousands. Okay, so these are the 4 things that we're going to be looking today. And in Montessori, we use a material called golden beads. We use a material called golden beads. Your ones are represented by a tiny golden bead bar, just like this. Your ones is represented by a tiny golden bead bar. Can you see my ones here? It's just a small golden bead. Okay, so I'm going to be representing my ones just like this. But what about my tens? My tens is represented by my 10 bar. How is it a 10 bar? When I start counting, when I take my 1, I need to first experience it. Okay, so how do I experience it? Give it to the child. Let them try and experience, see how small is my number 1. Okay, my number 1 is really small, really very, very tiny. So can you see it? It's very tiny, right? Now, how does my 10 look like? When I take 10 such ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 such ones make up 110. 10 ones make up 110. Now, when I have 100, 10 such tens make up 100. See, 110, 210, 310, 410, 510, 610, 710, 810, 9, 10, 10, 10. So 10 tens make up 100. When I bring 1000, see 1000 is a cube. When I get my 1000 over here, 10 such hundreds make up 1000. See, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1000. So 10 hundreds make up 1000. So this is the decimal system introduction. So we have ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. What we do, since you all don't have the material, what you can do is write it in this way. Okay, so you can write it in this way. Once you can represent it by a small dot. Tens, put a line. Okay, imagine there are 10 beads which are tied together on that line. Okay, but you can put a line because it makes it more easier. For 100, you can put a square, thinking that all such 10 bars have been tied together. For 1000, you can draw a cube. Okay, so you have your ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. So this is the first thing. So what did I introduce just now? I introduced to the decimal system. So this name of the material is called golden beads. Ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands are represented using this. Now, I'm not going to be introducing the symbol to children, but rather I will tell children, now we are going to use the same material to represent the quantity. Now say for example, let's start making a table. Everybody make up a table. Everybody make up a table. And the name of the table is going to be representation of ones using your golden beads. Using golden beads. You're going to be represent the ones using golden beads, and you will start writing numbers from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So write this table. Everyone, please write it, because this is the first exercise that you will have to introduce to your children. If you don't have this worksheet, you can make one. So when it is 1, what should the child do? The child should take up one bead and put it here. And since you don't have the bead, what would you do? You put a big dot. It's number 2. And every quantity has to be represented with the same distance. Okay? So since it is rolling off, that's the reason we always do it on our work mat. If I'm keeping any material on the mat, it doesn't roll off. If you see my other one, the other device, let me pin it quickly. So I still have, so you can use the mats like this, the green color one that I'm actually having it here. So you can have mats like this. And once I start putting the material on it, it never rolls off. So that's the reason always use mats when you're introducing any of the topics to children. Okay. So since I'm using both, I'm going to be using it here on the board itself. But you always introduce, see that there are chances of beads rolling off. This is an error. Okay. Make sure the numbers are at the same distance and you start putting the quantity. 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3. We don't put 10. Okay, so leave it. Sorry. We don't put 10. It's only from 1 to 9. Okay, so this is your first representation using the golden beads, but make sure you're going to be using the beads for it. Since we are all writing it and we're doing it through the screens, I've marked up this table. Okay, the next one is you're going to be representing the tens using the golden beads. So make another table now. Make another table now. Same table. But now we're going to be using what? We're going to be using tens. So it becomes 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and 90. Readable format is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Okay, but the writable format is 110, 210, 310, 410. So what do I do here? 110, I got to keep this. If it's my two tens, it's 110 and 210. I need to keep one below the other. 310, 110, 210, 310. 410s, 110, 210, 310, 410. So we're going to keep our quantity. 310, 410, 510. 110, 210, 310, 410, 510, 610. 110, 210, 310. Remember, it's 110, 210, 310. You got to do it that way. Your notations are very important. 410, 510, 610, 710. So we have it till our 9/10s. So this is the second thing that we have to be working, wherein we have to represent our number rods, not the number rods, sorry, our golden beads using, sorry, we're going to represent the tens quantity using our golden beads. So we learned only 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Okay. Done? Everyone? All right. Okay. So I have Monica's completed. Okay. Amazing. Yes. Thank you. Lobna, are you done? Fine. Okay. Priya seems done. Swagatika's done. Okay. All right. So let's go to the next one. So make up another similar one wherein we're going to be now using representation of hundreds using the golden beads. Now you're going to be representing hundreds using the golden beads. So your table goes very similar, but now you're going to have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, and 900. Okay. How do we do that? It's 100. So I keep 100. If it's 200, what do we do? How many hundreds? We're going to keep 200s. 100, 200s, one below the other. Correct? So since now I'm drawing it using the board, I'm going to have 200s with squares, 300s with 3 squares, 400s with my 4 squares, 500s with 5, and then I continue my tabulation. Try completing it. I'll give you 1 minute to do this. So we are learning the quantity 100, 200, 300, and we're seeing how well it's growing. Done? Okay, so let's go back to the last versions of it. And now we're going to be having the representation of 1,000 using our golden bead. Okay, so now we're going to be representing thousands using the golden bead. So what we do, same tabulation, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000. But you're going to be adding a cube to represent the quantity now. So we're going to draw the cubes over here. So 1,000, it's 1 cube, 2,000, 2 cubes. This will take a little time. Try to complete it. I'll give you 2 minutes to do this. You might, some might say, like, is it necessary to do that? Definitely, yes, it is necessary to do it. This is the first chart that you will be introducing it to your child. You could show them if you have the materials, but if you don't, you got to make it up. Okay, so make it up. So representation of thousands. So draw a cube. If you have some cube cutouts, you can keep it over here, just like stamps. What a lovely class. How amazingly you're all writing. Thank you, Shanti, for informing me that you're home back. Is it? Okay. Not a problem. Yeah, I knew about it, that you're traveling today. Keep writing. Rema, is that you who have logged in with another device?
Yeah, because I was not able to see, so I just thought to log another one. Yeah.
All right. All right. Okay. So that completes the tabulation of our, thousands and things like that. So in the coming up classes, we are going to be learning about the different kinds of operations that we will be able to work with our decimal system. So from tomorrow and day after, we should be probably able to complete the most of the exercises. And we're going to start with the decimal system, knowing the quantity and associating the quantity. Then again, we move back to symbols. We use the symbol cards to represent our ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. And then we would associate a number to the quantity along with that. We would also see some kind of an addition, subtraction, multiplication, division operations. It could be both static and dynamic. We would also be able to see 1-digit numbers, 2-digit, 3-digit, 4-digit, or additions of ones, addition of tens, addition of thousands, addition of hundreds. Okay, and the same goes with your subtraction, multiplication, and division also. Okay, so there is one more assignment which is going to be coming up. Okay, and it's like, each one of you all have to represent some kind of a storytelling. Since we have completed the language exercises, okay, so since we have completed the language exercise, you have 1 week of time. You get 1 week of time, and the assessments or the assignments, you need to submit it either to me. Whoever are in Bangalore, you can submit it directly to me. Whoever are in the other parts of the country and have connected with me through Ms. Jansi, you can share it to her directly, okay, because she's the point of contact. Either one works, or you can directly WhatsApp me to my number, and I would communicate the same to her as well. So whichever way is good enough for all of us. So you are going to be giving a demo, and the demo is going to be for a 1 minute, and you have to present something. It could be through story. Okay, a story you have to present. You can use different forms for story narration. So you can put puppets. You can have a model, or you can do with any kind of other kind of props that you want to use it to make up your story. And you need to narrate a story for 1 minute, and you will be giving that demo. So it's just, you have to imagine that you are staying in a classroom, and you have to demonstrate the same way that you've been doing it in your class with your children. Okay, so this is one of the demo session. It will be graded. Okay, so you will get some remarks on this, which will be very much useful, and you can share it with your class members or the fellow members also. Okay, so this is one of the assignments. You get a week's time from today. You can plan it up, and you can see whichever themes actually goes wrong. Even the dioramas you can actually use. So you can also use the diorama crafts to make up your story, and you can use. Okay, so this is about your assignment, and that's it for today. So I think it's almost time for all of us. And as usual, we're going to be singing along the goodbye song before we just move on. Okay, so this is how the song goes. I've just shared the lyric sheet to all of you. So you can put your pencils down, you can relax. Okay, so this is how the rhyme goes like. I want each one of you all to learn up the lyrics also because it's important. Okay, so you had a little Peter Rabbit. So every time we're going to be singing, we're going to have this notation, little Peter Rabbit. He had a fly where? Upon his nose. Little Peter Rabbit had a fly upon his nose. So you got to add a little drama. So go far and add that chili shake, and then you get that fly onto your nose. So every time there is a fly on your nose, what do? You either swish it or you swash it, right? So it gets swished and it gets swashed. Okay, so that's how you go. And every time I do powder puff, you got to, just tilt yourself a little and try to pat on your waist like this or on your thigh. And then the curly whiskers, you got to do this, the curly whiskers. And that's it. This is what we're going to be doing it. Okay. So ready, all of you? Yes. The tune is very simple. The classic song, the same tune I'm going to be singing. The little Peter Rabbit had a fly upon his nose. Little Peter Rabbit had a fly upon his nose, and he swished it and he splashed it, and the fly flew away. Powder puff and curly whiskers, powder puff and curly whiskers, powder puff and curly whiskers, and he swished it and he swashed it, and the fly flew away. Okay, so you could actually look in and give more actions. Okay, little Peter Rabbit had a fly on his paw. Little Peter Rabbit had a fly upon his paw. Little Peter Rabbit had a fly upon his paw, and he swished it and he splashed it, and the fly flew away. Powder puff
and curly whiskers.
Whiskers, and he swished it and he squashed it, and the fly flew away. Okay, so that's how the rhyme goes on, and you could say that's a wonderful the little baby the rabbit song. Okay, I'm just going to again wave my scarf, and I'm going to say goodbye to all of you. Wave your scarf and say goodbye. 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 Wave your scarf and say goodbye. Scarf. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, ma'am. Thank you very much.
And we will see you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Consistent. So there's more of writing tomorrow because more of mathematical skills that we're going to be bringing in. Do come in with more energy, and I would expect a little bit more of attendance. In India, it's a festival week for us. Diwali is going on, the 5 days of celebration. It's starting from today. So we have a little less attendance for today. The participants of India, I see some of them are missing because of the Danteras happening over here. But it's okay. So we do have the recording. That's absolutely fine. It's a festive time for all of this. And not to worry. So we will meet back again tomorrow, same time, guys. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Now,
Bye.
Ma'am.
see you all.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Happy Diwali.
Have a nice day, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.